Hey everybody, J. Allen Recker here, and today we are going to do a playthrough of the new book in the Drifter series, Adventure. So the original, The Drifter, is a Western, then came Star Drifter, a sci-fi, planet hopping, galaxy hopping, sci-fi, where you took control of you piloted a spaceship. And now we're playing Adventure, which plays very similarly, some tweaks to make it fit the genre better, of a Dungeons and Dragons like fantasy adventure. So I printed out my copy, and this will let you see what actually playing a game with my binding system is like. I use an ACO clip with a brad in the center. There were so I posted a video on that. I will try to post a link. I will try to remember to post a link to that in the comments, or have it be one of the end placards actually. And I got at least one piece of criticism was like, this is junk, you can't even keep the book open. And I just want to show you, like, the book stays open. This game has quite a table presence. You'll notice that there's quite a bit of stuff spread out. So this is not the sort of choose your own adventure game where you're just sitting there with a couple dice and a book and a character sheet. You've got a map. You've got some rules that I print out separately from this because you do have to refer to some tables in here. You've got your chart, and this lets you actually know. This is what is different, in my opinion, the big difference between, I'm going to rearrange this just a little bit, between this game and any sort of choose your own adventure, like adventure book. This chart has entries that you go to that are the starting points of any interaction that you have. And you have an aura. I think of it as like an aura of power and how much trouble you are going to kind of gain, or you could see it as, whether or not you are known for being very evil or at least being destructive. And so things get worse. So you roll a D100 to see what happened, and things are more volatile the higher your aura is. You've got a combat table, a skill check table, a treasure table. But with this game feels more like an open world sandbox rather than just a choose your own adventure book. It's, I think it's way more exciting. It there's just so much stuff. It's just tables upon tables, tables within tables, and so many ways that anything can go. So that unlike in a choose your own adventure book that has like a central hub, you don't know what's going to happen off of any of them, because depending on how you roll, you'll get a completely different entry, and then that will go in a totally different direction. So anyway, let's get into the actual game. I'm playing Willie. I use chips to denote my experience. It cycles through every 15 points, you gain a level. So I'm playing Willie the Wizard, whose motivation is ultimate esoteric knowledge. He starts out with a staff, which is a very weak weapon. I'm a little worried about that. I think I'm going to be relying on this. Unlike in the other ones, there are classes here, and the classes have significant differences. Now, you level quickly, and you start getting other powers quickly. I played a cleric for a long game, somewhat long because I skipped death once to be able to explore a dungeon, and I also just got lucky quite a few times. There are some big differences. So the wizard gets very powerful, but starts out, it's kind of, it feels a little bit like Dungeons and Dragons or, your standard RPG. Eventually they gain protection and the ability to fully ignore wounds and vast blast, which lets you attack a whole group, which is one of the issues with this game that makes it the most different from a role-playing game, is that when you enter a fight, it's quite likely that from the beginning that it's pretty much a lost cause. Fighting in the combat in this is deadly. Do not get too attached to your characters. I'm thinking that if I can get to level 3, where I can use this vast blast ability, that it'll even the odds. Okay, so Aura Shield. Now, I believe that you can roll for this, but as a person starting out, I figure that I don't have very much attention. on me. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that. You set your wounds to none. These are clear bingo chips. I don't find the most use for them, but I'll put a link in the description. They do come. It's very nice to be able to mark something and see through it. Okay, intellect. So this is something that we roll for. Intellect is very important because it influences your initiative, and it is very important in this game to get initiative. So I'm going to roll twice and take the highest. Okay, never mind. I rolled a 4. So intellect is 4. That's great. Hero points start at 2. No items, no points of interest yet. So that's kind of, you populate this map with points of interest. There's some tokens that you can print out, but I have these cubes. So, I bought a big old jug of cubes. And I have these marked up for using for a draw cup for playing Eon's End or Masters of the Universe. The come on one. No gold, no XP, if I remember correctly. Let me check. Let me see on character creation if I get any gold. Okay, so character name, wound level, physicality. So your physicality is tied down to your wound level, which means you start at 4. That's an interesting kind of weird thing in fantasy because of 2 things: non-humanoid, like gigantic races, and also the classes. You think of wizards as being low physicality, warriors as being high physicality. In all of them, you just start at 4 and you go down it. This also means that failure compounds. That things can go south real fast because this is how you check. The physicality is what you use to influence your attacks, your physical combat. Okay, yeah. XP, none. Hero points, start with 2. Weapons, no armor. Armor operates on a chance to deflect damage or absorb damage. Items, gold pieces. Okay, yeah, no gold to start with. Okay, so I think that we can safely start then. So we open up, and I'm just going to have to read this to you. You are a fledgling adventurer, now far from home. You have set out in this fabled land in hopes of accumulating enough wealth in order to fulfill your quest. The terrain of this mysterious realm is covered in dense forests, arid deserts, hazy marshes, and rolling grasslands. That's another thing that was added to the game that I really do enjoy, is that you have a lot. And in the Drifter, there were 2 types of land that you could be on. You could be on like the plains, the prairies, or you could be in the desert. And that determined some things. Then in Star Drifter, there was like no real sense of place. You had this big map, but it didn't impact very much. And here, I know the designer specifically wanted to give more of a sense of place, and he has definitely achieved that. So you have these different environment types. You will very frequently reference those when you roll on a table. It'll say, if depending on your environment type, then you go to this other table and have something happen that's suitable for that environment. Okay, so armed with wit and weapons of choice, you're ready to explore the highest mountains to the deepest valleys to achieve your goal. You awaken in the wilderness. Roll a d10 to determine which hex you start at on the map board. So one of the main, probably the main feature of the map is that there are 3 cities on there already, and you can discover other things that I think kind of permanently live on the map. But right now, that's the main feature and kind of my goal to move towards. So 1710 is where I'm starting out. So I'll be working my way toward that city. Gather your supplies, set out to seek your destiny in this mystical land. Okay, so you choose an available action. It's basically when you're out in the wilderness, you are moving or you were interacting with a point of interest. So we'll move 1 hex and then roll on the table. $37. Takes us to entry 34, stream. Okay, you come upon a stream. You may drink from the stream or leave. I'm going to leave. If I had wounds, maybe I would drink from the stream with the hopes of getting some healing. Now I have, because I ignored that, I have to see if I encounter something else, and I don't. This game, so the other two games, I think just used I can't remember what type of die they used, but it wasn't a full RPG set, if I remember correctly. This is pretty neat because it allows, and I could be wrong, it might have been like 6s and 10s or something, but this is nice because it allows the list to be exactly what the creator wanted it to be. So we'll move again. And we got 16. And that takes us to entry 16. Encounter. Someone approaches. So we roll a d10. We get a 10. It's a human. You can be friendly or attack. Well, definitely in the state that I'm currently in, which is having, first level. I have that written down? Yeah. I want to be friendly. So I'm going to go to entry 212. There's a lot of combat in this game. This is a very combat-heavy game. It feels similar to the murder hobo style of early, classic or old school Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, stranger encounter, roll a d6. And there's a lot more opportunities to heal because of that. It's an old man, entry 145. So there are a couple different modes of what you play to. You can play till 500 gold and then you would retire. You can play until you die, which is probably going to be the case regardless of what you choose, because death is lurking around every corner. And there's a third one. I can't remember what it is. I'm choosing to play towards 500. I am wondering about if you were to try to treat this as like a tale of the land, and like a solo RPG where it was kind of focused on the whole country. If maybe you would, if that could change what your goal might be. Like if you live to 500, you might then, or you live to get 500 gold, you retire someplace. It could be in a city or it could be in a specific hex. And then maybe that could be a character that you interact with. Okay, so we are meeting up with another wizard. They grin and disappear in a puff of smoke or a shield up 1. So someone has marked me, and now more trouble is going to meet me in my travels. Your aura going up is a bad thing. I think of it as like, as more potent your aura gets, the more the powerful things in this world take note of you, which is very thematic, I feel, for a sort of grand fantasy narrative. And that's what this is. This is like a little narrative generator. Okay, so we'll move and then see what's up. 61, and now I'm checking on the moderate row. Entry 85. And by the way, are you noticing how nicely the book is staying open without me paying almost any attention to it? You see a stronghold in the distance. You can approach the stronghold or move to an adjacent hex. If you approach the stronghold, you get 1 XP. I am going to approach it. and check entry 19. Now, this might be the sort of thing where maybe you would want to mark it. And I don't know what, if you're doing it in a solo roleplay style, maybe put a permanent marker on there that stood for a stronghold. If on a mountain hex, forest or grassland, okay, so we're on a forest hex, so we will roll a d4, and we get 1. It is abandoned. Get an XP. Okay. Well, that's okay with me, because you have to face up to this deadly world at some point if you want to gain the experience to progress, to be able to then take on harder challenges, but enjoy living for another day. Okay, so now we're in a city. Now the city chart it's not in the entries, it's in the rules section. Okay, so I'm going to roll to see what I have access to in the city. The first time I stepped into this city, there was a meteor strike. I managed to escape with a physicality test, and the city was burned, almost like smashed into the ground and no longer existed. Okay, I rolled a 2. That's not great. So basically, if I had a high enough aura, the city guard would approach me. This gives me the option of going to the tavern, which is where I would have gone anyway, because I think it's where I'll be able to find something interesting going on. As I've been playing this, I haven't been given nearly as many quests as I was in the other games. And I think that's just an issue of the balance having been shifted to combat. A lot of the encounters that would have ended up having quests where then you go through a few steps before you get to combat or some other sort of resolution now go straight to combat. And so in order to make this more of the Dungeons & Dragons hack and slash, I think that the quest aspect of it is reduced just due to proportions of what you're likely to roll. Okay, so we're in a tavern. Lit sconces line the wall. There's a murmur of patrons while they laugh and drink. Roll a 6. You can buy a drink or leave. I don't have a single piece of gold, so I just have to leave. And as I leave, I walk into a dark alley. Giant rats. So I need to roll for initiative and see how many giant rats I face. Now let me tell you, there's a possibility of rolling a lot of them. And if I roll high, then that is going to be the end of this character. Unless I decide to then ignore, the outcome and continue on. So, rolling it for initiative is on the standard skill table, and it gives you an intellect check. So that's why I said high intellect is good. So it's intellect -2 gets added to what you roll. Now, rats are fast little creatures, so they actually have a good chance of getting at me. But luckily, 7 is enough that I go first. So let's see how many rats I'm facing. D4 +2. And I rolled a 4. I am going to just face 4 instead of breaking out another sheet, and anyway, 4 is probably enough to kill me. I have a spell right now, but it only works on humanoids, so this is kind of the worst thing that could have happened to me. Okay, so giant rats. Now they only have one physicality, 1 intellect, and a very weak attack. So maybe I can make it through this. I'm going to attack first. Now I could try to escape. Maybe I should show you how that works, because there's almost no benefit to fighting these guys. They have no treasure, and it'll give me almost no XP. So let me try to escape combat. So you gotta refer to table 266. I should write that down somewhere. You kind of find the stuff that you need regular access to as you play. Okay. So I'm going to roll to escape. And I rolled a 2, which means I fail and all my opponents attack me. So now you're going to get to see what it's like to get eaten alive by giant rats. So combat happens with a d12. They are all, at the start at least, while my physicality is high, going to have a -3 to their attack roll. Okay, so that missed. 5 -3 down to 2, and on the weakest attack roll, which also is my weapon, I have a staff that is the weakest. It misses all the way to 6. So 10. I was going to say if we don't ever roll higher than 9, we'll be fine. But of course, immediately upon saying that, I roll a 10. Okay, 1. So that's a miss. Countered. So I get to immediately. So the attacker takes a light wound because of rolling so poorly. 8 -3 is 5. So the first wound that you take doesn't reduce your physicality. You notice I went from 4 to 4. Okay, so I'm going to try to escape again. I rolled a 3, which is not good. So I have to attempt a physicality to skill test. And then I get to run screaming out of the city if I manage to pass it. Let's try it. Okay, I rolled a 4. I have a 3 bonus from the difference in our physicality, so that's a 7 on here, and I passed barely. Okay, so let's see what direction they chase me out of the city in. They chase me to the north, so back pretty much the way I came. I run screaming through the streets in the direction that I know. No one stops to help, as they don't want to get involved. They don't know who's in the wrong. I mean, these giant rats live there. This is their home. I'm a stranger. They're on my first day. They don't know what happened in that dark alley. Maybe I tried to hold these rats up. Okay, so now I have to see if an event happens in that. And it does. I rolled a 2 on a 1 or 2. An event happens over here. So let's go ahead and roll for it. 55. It's entry 83. So what I like is that these are little story bits instead of being little bits of story. I don't know. I just now thought of that phrasing, so I don't know if that hits at all. But it feels to me like these are the sort of things that come together to make a story instead of being a story that's been chopped into pieces. And that is what I enjoy about this game. Now there are some choose your own adventure games. I think choose your own adventure games, for the average ones, really rely on the story. I really like Sword of the Bastard Elf because it's a very funny choose your own adventure story, and the book is huge, so there's just so much to see in it. But most, like if it's just standard fantasy, I'm not going to be interested enough. Okay, I rolled a 7, so I came upon a cairn. Stacks of stones of various sizes are before me. It's a tribute to a legendary hero. If my aura shield were totally pure, totally dark, I guess I could take damage. If it were totally pure, I could heal. I'm neither, so I guess I just take note of and think that maybe one day I will be such a hero and go back into the city. Okay, I peek around and don't see the giant rats. And I'm going to try to remember to avoid that alley. Okay, I don't know why I rolled 2, but I only need to roll the 1. So here I get to choose where I go. Do I want to go to the inn, the temple, the emporium, the tavern, or the stable? I don't need to rest. I don't need to heal. I don't need to buy anything. I have no gold, so I can't buy anything would be a better way to put that. I think I'm going to go to back to the tavern, and hopefully this time not encounter trouble. Okay, rolled a 2. A lot of times the lower than it's not consistent, so you can't always know. But a lot of times the lower the number, kind of the harsher the result. Okay, so city calamity. Bells ring out. Citizens seek shelter. Roll a d6. 5. Soldiers, XP. I gain 2 XP. Soldiers storm the city. You must fight to escape. Roll initiative. And then roll to see how many soldiers I will face. Okay. Roll for initiative. So I rolled a 5. And luckily these are standard soldiers here are not that tough, but I do pass that. And I get a hero point. So that's one. This is something different, and you have to pay attention to this. I actually played for like an hour without noticing the asterisks beside certain things. So these will often give you like a benefit if you roll very poorly, or sometimes if you roll really well. Sometimes, like if it's in combat, then if you roll really poorly, either you or the bad guy will then get an extra immediate wound, or if you attack really well, then you will get an extra follow-up attack immediately. So these make a big difference, and they give you a lot more. You get a lot more hero points in this, and hero points do allow you to do things like heal. And I was playing a cleric for a long time, and so that was the main use for hero points for me. It allows you to use your special abilities. That is a lot more free here. It also lets you mitigate bad die rolls. So it lets you feel a little bit more heroic than in the other games. But then again, because you're facing so much combat, it's really not that much less lethal. You're also having to use your hero points a lot. Okay, so now let's see what I'm facing. Okay, I rolled a 1, so I'm facing 2 soldiers, which means there is a good chance that I will make it out of this alive. These guys are tougher than the rats. They're fighting with Spatha. I think that's the Roman longsword, right? So it looks like a gladius, but it's long, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I get to attack first. I want initiative. So let's see what I can do. Oh wait, I forget. This is the first attack with a new character, and I want to try using my Psychic Crush attack because these are humanoids. I couldn't do this with the rats, but if I roll over the opponent's intellect, then they are out immediately. So that's huge. I rolled the opponent's intellect. I did not roll over. So you know what? I'm going to try, just to show you, I'm going to use a heroic point. And I rolled a 3. So this guy collapses to the ground. Psychic Crush, his brains just start leaking out his ears. You don't have to see it as that. Sorry. This is supposed to be family friendly. But he's defeated. Now I'm standing off and I have to try to avoid this incoming attack. So that's a 5 with a Spatha, and his physicality is 2 less than mine, so he really whiffs big time. So now it's my turn again. I'm gonna use my Psychic Crush attack. It does not. So some of my spells cost hero points. Some of them don't. I only had to use the hero point to re-roll it. And I rolled a 4. So I dropped 2 of these chumps straight off the bat. Okay, I won the combat. I get to roll now. First, I get 3 XP. And I get to roll on treasure and then escape for treasure and then escape the city. We may just wander the countryside for a little while after this, because I have not actually received a quest in the tavern yet. I'm just maybe I did one. Actually, no. Yeah, once I think I heard a rumor of a dungeon. I think that is where I heard the rumor of a dungeon. I'm not 100% sure about that. But let's just wander the countryside a little bit. So first I'm going to roll for treasure, and then I'm going to leave the city. 13. It's pretty good. Not on the best treasure thing though, but I get my first 10 gold pieces. We're going to take it in change, low denomination, so we can spend it if need be. Hey, we are 1/50th of the way to retirement. I'm going to buy a sweet sorcerer's. Actually, I'm going to go refurbish that sorcerer's, that tower that stronghold that we came across that was abandoned. Where was that? It was like a mountain. I think, let's say it was a mountain stronghold. I'm gonna put a little mark right there. I'm gonna come back and refurbish that when I get my 500 gold. Okay, so we are going to escape, and let's travel this way. So we jump into a desert spot. $75. Treacherous weather. And I found a desert hex, go to 72. I do really appreciate the work that was done to make the environments different in this entry. Sandstorm makes sense. Powerful storm blows sand in every direction. Roll a d10. 2. Storm is intense. Attempt a physicality skill test. So physicality -1 is my bonus. Okay, I rolled a 10. Dang. Tilted it. So I pass big time. There's no asterisks or anything on that. So I endure the storm. If I'd failed, and sometimes a lot of times I try to avoid looking at what happens when the other opposite happens, just to leave as much stuff unrevealed as possible. But I would take a light wound, remove a companion from the party if I have had one, and then attempt the physicality skill test again. Okay, so let's move on. We escaped the storm and entered into a forest. Storm on the horizon. So that's, unfortunately, it seems like we traveled in the same direction as the storm, unwittingly. That probably got turned around and didn't realize that. See, or maybe it turned around. You can enter the storm or completely avoid it. If you enter the storm, 26. If you completely avoid the storm, you must move to an adjacent hex. I say we do that. I don't see any benefit to entering the storm. Okay, so we escape to the south. If we were trying to get someplace, that'd be a different story. Because I tell you what, Star Drifter a couple times, I remember once I had a very important person who I'd rescued, and I was trying to return them to their home planet, and I kept getting chased away from the planet, like time after time. Like I'd run into an enemy battleship. I'd run into a erupting, I don't know, nebula. It's a science. That's a space word, right? And when I got there, it turned out that the reward was 300 gold pieces, which allowed me to retire. So it felt pretty epic. And you see how I remember that? Like, it's a story now that's part of my gaming memory. And that's what I really like about these Drifter games is I think because you are generating the story, like for me, that makes it stick in my mind a lot more. It feels like a real event rather like that happened. I don't know. It feels like it does. It feels a little bit more like a real event that happened to me rather than just a story that I'm reading because I'm putting the pieces together and it wasn't predetermined. Okay, 135 is an encounter and I'm on a mountain hex, so go to entry 57. But you see how, because of flipping from table to table, like it doesn't matter what you're starting from. You may recognize where you're starting from. It does not mean it's going to go anywhere near the same direction. Roll a d10. So this book has really delightful art. It's very cute and really well done. Okay. Oh my gosh. A rock. This doesn't sound good. This is a very tough monster, able to do a lot of damage. So let's hope that I win the initiative. Nope. Very bad initiative check for me. It's also not a humanoid, so I cannot use my Psychic Crush spell on them. Yeah, so I rolled a 4, and that was like 1 point off of getting first strike. Should I use a hero point? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use a hero point to reroll that. I don't know if I normally would, but this thing really seems like it's going to pack a wallop if it gets me. Okay, so this time I make it. So it's it's a 7, and yeah, I'm just barely pass. Wait, what did I have? The other time I actually gained a hero point. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now this rock seems a little bit glass cannony. They don't have the best stats, but they roll on a very powerful table. When they do hit, it's going to hit hard. Let's see if we can take him out quick. I'm hitting him with a stick, so that's probably not going to happen. Okay, so I did get so I rolled a 10, which becomes a 12, which is a heavy wound. So that is pretty amazing. So now this rock has a greater penalty to trying to hit me back. And and rolled a 1. That is a whiff, and now they immediately take a light wound. Okay. Let's just try to finish this thing off. I rolled an 8. Our differential is 4, so 12, which is a heavy wound, and they are gone. If you defeat the rock, roll a d6. On a 6, you find their nest. Rolled a 5. So no treasure for me. Let's say that I do get the treasure because you get a quest if you get the treasure because there's a rock egg with it. So that sounds something interesting to show you, and to kind of show you how that works. And that'll be my excuse for getting better than I deserve. Did not get any gold with it, so all I take is a rock egg. So what we do is we add a point of interest, hex any city. So a lot of times you would roll to see where this happened. Like you would roll either a distance away, or sometimes maybe it would be a static spot. This one's just a city. The event is 173, and at the store. Okay, so we'll put a little marker, and we'll go back to the city that so far we have been chased out of twice. 25, 19. I think this is a fight. Nope, stronghold. So we go to our mountain hex. Okay, so we're in a mountain hex, so we roll a d4 here. Got a 2. 186. Oh, I forgot. Dang it. I think that rock gave like 5 experience. It could have been more, but there's no way to know. So you got to note that stuff as you're going. Okay. And like, did I say 185 or no? I said 186. Okay, so come upon a fortified keep, sneak past a stronghold, or sneak inside. I'm definitely not interested in sneaking inside because I want to try to sell this rock egg. So instead, I'm going to do a physicality test to just get past it. I rolled a 4. I get +2. That's a 6, which barely passes. Okay, so I slip past the stronghold and gain 2 experience in the process, and that means I am now level 2. The ability that gives me, so now I can teleport. I can spend a hero point and then roll 1d4 + 1 hexes in any of the cardinal directions. Okay. $93. 16. I think that is an encounter. Yeah. Let's try to survive this. 5. Okay. I am in a desert hex, so I go to 184. Oh yeah, this is just going to be a straight up fight. 4 hungry jackals. Rolled very poorly. 3 + 3, so that's 6. I once again pass by 1. So I get to go first. Let's see how many jackals we're facing. 4 is what I rolled. We're just going to face off against 4. It should be 5, but so I can't use my spell Psychic Crush on them. I am going to escape. Discretion is definitely the better part of valor in this game. I need to write this down. I don't know why I haven't written this down yet. Fleeing combat, E266. There are a couple things that I think that you could cut out of these rules and print all on just like a couple sheets as an aid that constantly get referred to, like the city table, maybe the escape table from out of here. Five. Yay! I flee to an adjacent hex. And I get to choose. So first I see if I lose a hero point. I don't. Now I would roll for an event, but I'm in a city. So there's not a city event thing. So I'm going to ignore that and just go well, I will roll for a city event, sorry. Would be the way to put that. Roll for city action. I rolled a 1. Calamity. Gosh darn it. I don't actually know if I'm allowed to reroll this, but I'm going to because... Well, you know what? Actually, so I don't roll for a city event, I don't think. I think I just take the event. There's no option on here for taking the event, so it doesn't make sense to roll on this. So we will go to event 173. Man, isn't it funny how I suddenly dig a little deeper to figure out the rules when they go straight against my interest? No, I would have realized that I wasn't getting to do what I wanted to regardless of how I'd rolled, good or bad. Okay, shop, sell. So I'm trying to sell my unique object at the shop. I've never been here before. This is cool. Roll a d6. See what we can get for this rock egg. 2. That's not good. You're paid 2 gold. Okay. Well, there ends the quest of the rock egg. Well, one thing that you could kind of create is if you wanted to create some sort of like Monster Hunter style thing, you could take note of this. Like I keep thinking of ways to make this more and more your own, more and more of a solo RPG. You could take note of this shop, and then you could go and hunt monsters. Go around and have encounters, and when you come up against a monster that's particularly rare, tough, you know it when you see it. If you come up against a dragon, if you come up against maybe a troll, then, because I bet you the troll blood would be great for some sort of regeneration potion. You come to the shop and sell it and be on your way toward retirement. That could be a really fun way to play this game. There's so many different, as I see, that's what I'm talking about with the freedom this offers, is that could have been put in here, but you don't need it to be, because all you need to do is take note of that one entry, and everything else happens as it happens. You don't need to have a path laid out through it like you would in most other sorts of choose your own adventure games. Okay. Should we see what else? Let's go get a drink. Let's go to the tavern. Six. Approached by a hooded stranger. Attempt an intellect skill. 10. Oh, man. You just got seriously out-intellected, bruh. 236. Stranger. You meet a cloaked stranger. Roll a d6. 5. A grizzled veteran. If you buy him an ale for $1, you'll talk a while. If you don't buy him an ale, check to see if your aura goes up. Okay, let's buy this grizzled veteran a drink. Hear what tales he has to tell. Got a 138. Oh, the rumor mill. Okay. Let's see what's up. 10. Oh, I was supposed to roll a roll a d10. And that says d12. That might be a typo. I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to roll a d12 there. Regardless, 10 is pretty high, so I'm just going to keep it. You learn about a secret cave. Roll a d6 to determine the direction of the cave. That's fun. 3 is southeast. So there's a cave to the southeast, and we need to check to see how far away it is. Yep. 3. So we'll put it right there. And that is hex 1316. Thanks, old veteran. Now, if you're doing this as a solo RPG, you could write up a dialogue if you wanted to, or at least think of like a bullet point list of this guy telling you of his latest adventure. Maybe he's like real ragged. Maybe his arm is in a sling, and he tells you about this cave, and he stumbled into it, and he doesn't even actually know what happened because the whole play, like he fell, his torch went out. He just starts running towards the reflection on the stone of like where the entrance was. He knows something is chasing him. His arm somehow like gets wrenched in the process. He's not even sure if he just ran into a wall or if something hit him, and then he falls out into the light. Okay, so let's go check it out. $49. Oh, an opportunity to forage. A little skill test. Did not roll well. Because I'm a city wizard. So I rolled a 4. Yeah, I failed that. Okay. Eat whatever I find, though. Fail. It tastes terrible. Roll a d6. Great. 3. Poison. Skill test. Roll a d6. If you roll over your physicality score, your adventure ends here. Oh, I did not roll over. I rolled exactly my physicality score. You see how quick this can end, right? Thankfully, that's it. There's no further punishment. It was just you die. If you were so I don't know if you would want to turn this into a sort of adventure where you go for a long time with the same character. I do think that it would fit better. It fits better with like multiple stories, like I was saying, because of how fast things progress. I know that I'm only at level 2, but you can gain a few levels in one sitting pretty easily, depending on if you don't run from every fight that you have, like I've been doing. I think that this system could be used, though, that this adventure engine could be used with a different system, and maybe you would want to then go with like the poison, more like the poison effect of like those more in keeping with another system, or although with if you're going with old school, you know, RPGs, then sudden death was certainly on the table. Okay. $27. Another encounter. $9. It's a human. You can be friendly or attack. Definitely going to be friendly. I think that trying to play a psycho in this would end you real quick. Heat will come to you. You do not need to pursue it. It is a warrior. Let's go to 174. So if you wanted to use this as a PDF, like I decided to print it out. For one thing, I can display it to you all easily. But with just a tablet here, these all have links that go between, and so I think I haven't tried it, but I think it would be a very convenient way to play. Okay, you meet a warrior. Roll a d6. 1. They attack. Enter combat with a warrior. 5. An Amazon. Thankfully, just 1. Okay, so let's roll for initiative. 9. That's beautiful. So that's 9 plus 2. That's 11 for initiative. Yep. It's obviously pass. I don't know why I keep checking. That's the best thing that can happen on initiative. Okay. Humanoid, so I am going to try to... Oh, but she's got an intellect of 3. That means I only have a 25% chance of rolling over her intellect. Dang it. Like, literally, that's the worst warrior on here to have encountered. So, do I attack normally? I think it would be better to just attack normally. I think the averages would be me ending it more quickly with just a standard attack. Okay, I rolled a 7. That ends up being a 9. Light wound. Not great. She rolled a 10. That gets modified down to an 8. I take another light wound, which is a medium wound. Still have not healed. I roll a 3, which gets modified to a 4, which certainly does miss. Oh, a 1. They immediately take a light wound. I like that. Okay, let's try this. 9. And now the difference is 2 again, so it's an 11. So that's a medium wound. Okay, they're on death's door. 4 minus 3 is a 1. So they take a light wound. They overexerted themselves while attacking and died. Okay, so a roll for treasure. Very unlikely to get anything here. 5. And check, but yeah, no. On the worst treasure table, which is what this Amazon has, 50% likely to not get anything. But I do gain 2 experience points, so it's important to always check. No, I get a hero point. Always check the. Okay, wow. And I get 3 experience points for the fight. So we're going to move and we're going to go explore this cave. I'm at 68, and we'll probably end it here. Look at that fungoid monster. That's hilarious. Okay, you explore a large cave. Roll 3. No. Okay, yeah, so 3 is for the XP. And then I roll D10 for the cave. You got to pay attention to these, and I know I miss them sometimes. In the entry, there is XP amount in the upper corner of the table, so you got to make sure that you look for that. Because it's not on all of them, so it gets easy to forget. Okay, so I roll a 4. An old woman lives here. Entry 183. Old woman. She mumbles an incantation and disappears in a puff of smoke. Aura shield up 1, so I disturbed an old woman and got marked with a hex. That's great. Now I roll to see if I lose any hero points. I don't. Let's go back to the cave and see what else. Let's go further into the cave. We'll put it that way. So this would be a sort of feature that I wouldn't remove. Some of the points of interest you'll remove, but like this is one that you can leave. I think that you get to leave on the map. Makes sense to me for dungeons, and like say that it's a large cave, so it has branching paths. And down one path, we found an old woman living there who cursed us. See what else we might find. 178. It's a lair. Okay, so we roll for XP. Oh, got 4. That's a delight. Let me roll a d6 to see what kind of lair it is. 6. Numerous dead humanoids. So we're going to want to leave before we find out what this is the lair of. But luckily, we get to sift through their bones and find some treasure first. 12. And we get 8 gold. Okay, so, I mean, I guess maybe I could continue searching through the cave. But this gives you an idea of how this plays. I think when it comes to which game do you want to play, of the Drifter series. So you can get a 3-pack of this. Last I saw, it was for a ridiculously low price, I think, for all 3 in PDF forms. Like, I think it was $12, which is wild because it's just hundreds of pages of tables. Even if you were just to buy these and not play the game, but to somehow figure out how to use it for a solo RPG, it's worth way more than that. I mean, way more than that. I don't think that I like the combat focus of this quite as much. So unless I'm doing something to try to make me feel the epicness of like an explored world, I think I'm probably leaning more towards the other two. That doesn't mean this isn't good. I think this is very good. I'm just talking about if you're going to choose one. Especially if like me, like you aren't. Fantasy is a fine default for me. It means that I don't have to spend a lot of time mentally world creating when that's not something that I'm very interested in. But I really enjoy the other Drifter books, and I like westerns and I like sci-fi tales. This is very good though, and if you're looking for fantasy, or you're looking and you're to just go and have an adventure where you're likely to die at any moment, this is great for that. I think that it can be tweaked in small ways and turned into a longer sort of experience as well, or interconnected small experiences, any number of things that if you're a solo role player, you're gonna just, your brain's just gonna start working on that because you're so used to hacking things together, right? This is it's a great sandbox. It can be, because it's a great sandbox, it can be a great tool chest. And there's a lot of fun to be had here. I will definitely be wanting, like, looking forward to whatever comes next. I'm thinking that this is the only series that's fulfilling this niche in my mind. Like, this is not the same thing as a choose your own adventure book. I don't know if that came through to you. I hope it did on the gameplay watching this, but it is not the same thing. And so I definitely hope that there are more entries. I would love to see a post-apocalyptic one. I would also like to see one that is maybe just a dungeon and cave exploring one without the overland aspect. And I don't know if you would then draw in the dungeon, or like this, it stays amorphous. Like you start going through and it just describes the areas that you're moving to, and there's no real way to like move back through them. So it's a lot more abstracted than a lot of games, but it's still very cool. And I could see it being like, it's a fun little part of this that I returned to a few times just to go down to the dungeon and see what I could find. I could see that being its own entire book like this. I could see it being tied to, like, kept abstract, or I could see it being tied to rooms where you're making notes. Something more like 2d6 dungeon, or like 4 Against Darkness, but with this style of adventure would be a ton of fun too. But this is definitely worthwhile for a epic overland adventure with lots of combat and violence, as you saw just in this small playthrough. I walked into a city, got chased out by giant rats. Walked into a city, it got stormed by soldiers, and I got chased out by soldiers. Walk into a city, find a hooded stranger who thankfully just gave me a quest instead of trying to murder me like everything else did. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I've really enjoyed playing this game, and I've only scratched the surface. I've been playing it this week, and I still have more classes to try. You can see how being a wizard makes a big difference, especially later game. I'm going to have to push through to where I get those other levels and get those other benefits. But there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff in here. I mean, that goes every which way and hits different depending on how you get to it, So that's it from me, Jalen Riker. I will see you on the review of this, which I plan on writing up and filming before too long. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and remember to keep playing solo.